Hi there guys, in today's video we're going to be looking at the marquee or selection for bitmaps within FlexiPRINT. But before that, let's have a quick intro first. So today's video can be found on softwaretraining.co.za. We make short and easy to watch problem solving videos, and we also have daily updates. Now if we go back into the program here, so now we've looked at a few things, but now we're going to be looking at selection tools or marquee tools, and that is pretty much to do selections within the bitmap feature. Now we have three main tools that we can look at, so let's just quickly cover them first before we deep dive into some of the rest of the stuff. So we've got the basic rectangle tool, we've got a lasso, and like a magic wand. Now, if you've ever used programs like Photoshop, you'll probably be very familiar with these. But for those not, or that has not used them, I'll quickly run through it just. So obviously the rectangle or the marquee tool, you can select basic rectangles and it will highlight it, and you'll be able to edit shapes and that within that selection. Now keep in mind this is obviously limited to the bitmap itself, so I cannot select outside of it. It's just something that is good to know. Then the next one is we have our lasso. And what this will do is it will allow us to, with our free hand, make custom selections. So that can be great if you've got a unique shape and you're trying to make a selection around it. And then you can see these little marching ants indicate what is selected. Now the last one we have here is the actual magic wand. What this will do is normally color relevant, and based off your tolerance that's set under your design central, it will change. So the higher this number, the more colors similar to that color you've selected it will select, and the lower you can isolate. So if I only want a single color, I can change this to 1, and so forth. So what this will do is if I select a color, it says orange, you'll see I select just that orange circle, nothing else. So this one's very handy if you want to only select certain colors or so forth within your design. Now there's a few hotkeys that's important. I'll go with the rectangle here. It works with all of these, so keep that in mind. So let's say I make a basic rectangle and I want to remove or add a part of a selection. Then I can either shift, you'll see I get a little plus there on my icon. Now whatever I select and I let go while keeping shift in, it will add that to our selection, as you can see there. So we can add things like that to our selections, and if I use control, it will do the opposite. So now I can actually remove things out of our selection if I hold control in and then hold left click and drag what I want to remove out of it. So as you can see, like that, pretty straightforward. So shift to add and control to remove, and like I said, it works with these as well. So if I use the wand, let's say I select this selection and I want to select more of these little circles, I keep shifting, then I can just carry on selecting. Or what I do is you can also obviously use control and deselect, but that gets a bit more funky when it comes to that. Now another feature which I always say is very important, and that's especially in this program, how to deselect. Because now what could happen is, as you can see, or let's make a more obvious selection. Let's say I've got this circle selected, and then let's just try that again. So I select this circle, and then let's say I switch to another tool, so something like the eraser or anything like that. Now suddenly this selection is still there and I cannot get rid of it, and that's where it gets tricky. So let's say I don't want that selected anymore. Now how do I deselect it? There's two ways you can go about it. The one way is you go under your menu by bitmap, and then you want to go to clear marquee. This will clear that selection. But the quickest way I've found is you just use the rectangle tool and then you select somewhere other than the selection. So if I click here, you'll see it will deselect it for us. So you have a selection selected, you just click anywhere else just once and then it will remove it, which can be pretty handy. Okay, then another thing to keep in mind which is handy or important is, let's say I've made a selection of the circle. Then with it selected, if I select a normal rectangle tool and I left click on that selection, I can actually move this selection now to a new place. So I can use that as a form of masking tool to create a selection and then move it somewhere else. And perhaps I can now go to my paintbrush, or let's go to the pencil because get a nice hard one, choose the same color, and then paint in another polka dot there. So that is also very, very handy to make extra selections with the actual polka dot. I mean, with the polka dot, create new selections. So you can actually move selections where this other feature, as you guys saw earlier, we actually will move that part of the design. So that polka dot would move, where now with a selection, we can actually just move the actual selection, which can also be quite handy. Okay, then the next one, this one I'm going to kind of run through because I see the videos are getting a bit long, and that is we can actually make selection of shapes. So we've got these two shapes, just vector shapes I've created. So I can change them how I want, but now we can turn these into an actual selection. So let me say combine group bitmap, and then I'm going to create a new bitmap and just keep it at default. So now we've got this white block. I'm going to move it over that selection, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of that. Now you can see all of it selected. Now if we go to our main menu on top, then we go to bitmap, and then you'll see we have this convert shape to marquee. Now unfortunately it removes the original shape. I would have liked it if it didn't. So I would say if you want to keep the original shape, make sure you do a copy of it. So if I click this, I say convert shape to marquee. Now you'll see it's converted that into actual shape. So now if I grab my pencil tool, then we can simply just paint in using those shapes we've created. Now the beauty of that is obviously if you had to make a shape with a path tool, you can get some unique selections at the end of the day. So that is handy. But another handy tool, which is very similar to create selections or marquees from shapes, is we can do the reverse. So let's say we've got this shape now. We know it was two individual shapes. So now what I can do is I can use my magic wand to select this blue. Then under our main menu, again, same way we found the previous one. Now we're going to go convert basically selection to shape, and we click that. It is now converted that selection into a shape. Beauty of this is still keeps your original, which is nice, but now as you can see here, this is vector. So we can actually change these points if we want and rearrange it. But also keep in mind, depending on your resolution, is how clean these edges are going to be. So you might have to clean them up if you're working on a low quality thing, but this is all vector, which means I can now adjust this, change full colors and so forth to my liking. And yeah, very handy. And yeah, that is otherwise on the selection tools. So we've got our main selections. We can add by using shift and remove by using control. We can move selections by making our rectangle, or making sure our rectangle selected and moving whatever is selected. And then we can, under our bitmap menu, convert shapes like vector shapes to selection, or selected shapes within our bitmap to vector shapes. But yeah, I know, sorry, that was quite a bit to take in a little video, but I definitely say play around with this a bit. As you get comfortable with it, it will all start making way more sense. In the meanwhile though, if we head here to softwaretraining.co.za, you guys will notice we've got a variety of different softwares we do cover, and you can also isolate your search on the top right. If you do not, however, find the training videos you're looking for, just simply go here, request the training video, fill in the mini form, and then we'll do our best to try and make that for you. But otherwise, thanks guys for watching, and cheers.